So as September comes to a close, many Nintendo fans are wondering one thing: where's the September Nintendo Direct? Statistically speaking, Nintendo usually does a Nintendo Direct in the month of September, usually in the first part of the month, but we've seen it a bit later, such as September 17th of 2020 for last year's Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. Of course, there are a lot of games coming out that we still don't know everything about. There's been lots of rumors going around, and many people are wondering, where is this September Nintendo Direct? Of course, whenever Nintendo posts anything on social media, everyone's like, hey, where's the Direct? Where's the Direct? Where's that Direct at though? And of course, now it's become pretty much an expected thing. But in today's video, I want to talk about where this Nintendo Direct is and really if we need a September Nintendo Direct at the end of the day. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, be sure to like and share the video as well. But without any further ado, let's talk about this mysterious September Nintendo Direct and figure out if we actually really need it or not. So there are clearly a lot of reasons why we do need this Nintendo Direct, because of the fact that, well, there's a lot of games coming out from Nintendo and we don't really know everything about them. Let's take a game like Metroid Dread, for instance. Now, Dread has been very well covered by Nintendo. We have seen a ton of advertising for the game. We've seen new trailers come out. We've seen new gameplay snippets come out. Like, Nintendo is definitely pushing this game very heavily as it releases on October 8th, right alongside of the Nintendo Switch OLED system. But still, there are people that feel like Metroid Dread needs a little bit more information. And really, I think the more interesting thing about October 8th would be the fact that, well, we really still haven't seen everything this Nintendo Switch OLED model can do. And if they did a Nintendo Direct in the month of September, you could pretty much answer all those questions. You don't have to go super in depth or anything like that with the system. Obviously, when people get their copies of the system, they are going to do reviews of it, look at every little nook and cranny. I mean, I'm gonna be one of those people, but still, there are a few questions that need to be answered with both the Nintendo Switch OLED model and Metroid Dread. But I think bigger questions remain with games like Mario Party Superstars. Now, Mario Party Superstars is of course releasing on October 29th, but outside of the initial E3 presentation, we haven't seen really anything from this game. And this is obviously going to be a somewhat big game for Nintendo and their holiday 2021 lineup, because this is a Mario Party game that, well, it actually looks good. I was not a fan of Super Mario Party that came out on the Nintendo Switch a couple years ago because the online sucked. Whereas in this game, everything can be played online, every board game, every mini game. So this looks like a proper evolution of Mario Party and what people are really going to enjoy playing. And plus, yes, a lot of us are familiar with the N64 boards that will be used in this game, but there's a lot of the younger generation who doesn't really know anything about those N64 Mario Party games because, well, I mean, it's not like you could play Nintendo 64 on your Nintendo Switch Online service right now, because, I mean, why would you do that? Why would you offer more value for that service? So there's a lot of questions that this game has, and even if you are well versed in the boards that are being used in this game, there's still a lot of questions of the functionality, how it's going to work, and of course, just more gameplay from this game. But those really aren't the only two games that Nintendo is releasing for the second half of 2021, because when it comes to announced titles, there's actually two more that are coming in the month of December that I think definitely need a lot more information. The first game being Big Brain Academy Brain vs. Brain. Now, I don't care about this game. I feel like a lot of people don't care about this game, but still, it's nice to know more information on it. We did get a little bit of a trailer that when this game was announced. It does come out on December 3rd, and yes, maybe some people have some questions about this game, but the bigger game of the two would definitely have to be Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. Now, I want to see a lot more from this game. I want to see how this game is going to function. I want to see the online portion of this game as well, because that's where this is really exciting. Now, of course, Advance Wars 1 and 2 came out on the Game Boy Advance. Fantastic games, and these games are being remade by WayForward and published by Nintendo in a dual pack where you get both Advance Wars 1 and 2 plus some extra stuff such as the online play, and it will be available on your Nintendo Switch on December 2nd. Now, this isn't really a huge narrative-driven game or anything like that, but this is a franchise that hasn't been around in quite a while. So I feel like Nintendo would want to talk about this game because, well, they have to get people excited for it. They have to get people to know about this game in order for this game to be at least somewhat successful. Beyond, once again, what we saw at E3, we haven't heard a peep from Nintendo about how this game has progressed, what's being added to it, what sort of things we should expect from it. So this is a game that I'm definitely looking forward to, but that's because I'm an Advance Wars fan, and there's not a lot of Advance Wars fans out there anymore because this franchise has been dormant for so long. Then you also have third-party games that are coming to the Switch, maybe some surprises, and then you still have the first half of 2022. So I go back to my original question with this. Do we need a September Nintendo Direct? And I think in some aspects we do. All of these games that I've mentioned previously, outside of really Metroid Dread, which has gotten tons of coverage, tons of publicity, and tons of information on it, the other details on these other 3 games have been, well, just kind of missing. There's not really been any sort of talks about it, and all of these games are coming out before the end of the year. You would think Nintendo would want these games to be successful. Once again, you want to give people another little glimpse of the Nintendo Switch OLED model just so they can be reminded, maybe have some comparison videos of where you have the Nintendo Switch base versus the OLED model, and you just sort of showcase how much different the OLED screen looks when compared to the standard screen that we have. Of course, there's tons of third-party games that are coming to the Nintendo Switch this holiday season that people are just sort of forgetting about. There's been games that are announced, there's been games that are going to be surprises and whatnot, so I feel like there's definitely enough content to talk about these games and to have a presentation going on for a Nintendo Direct. But on the other side of the coin, I always have to sort of go back to what I say about Nintendo Directs. Now, as much as I enjoy the presentations, because I mean, I get to talk about them, it makes me money, it's a great thing all around, because of course people learn about games and we learn about games as well. There is one thing. I don't really need a Nintendo Direct. I don't need a full-on presentation. I just need information on the games, and I don't necessarily care about how I get this information. So a game like Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, you could do something like you've been doing with Metroid Dread, where you release trailers for the game on your official YouTube channel and on all your social media stuff, and people will see these trailers. Now, yes, it is nicer to have everything condensed into one format, but I don't care about that. It's not the format that I like, it's the information that I like. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are like that. You know, the Nintendo Direct gets everyone, you know, all excited because there's going to be surprises and there's going to be reveals and there could be potentially stealth drops of games as well. But on the other side of the coin, it's not that important to do it in a full-on presentation. In my opinion, I think you just need to get the information out there to people in one way or another. And just by uploading random trailers and stuff like that works. A lot of presentations that we've seen lately have been to the point of where it's like, you could have just done a trailer drop for this game and hope that the gaming press and the gaming media and YouTubers and people of all sorts of walks of life who talk about video games will end up talking about this. I think the wild card with this situation, though, has to be the upgrades to the Nintendo Switch's online service in terms of adding in new consoles. I think if you're adding in something like a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color, that's something you need to do in a big presentation. Like, if you just sort of stealth drop that announcement, I think that's cool, but it sort of takes away from the impact it would have, because on its own, a lot of people outside of Nintendo Switch Online owners aren't going to necessarily care about having Game Boy and Game Boy Color games added to the Nintendo Switch's online service. If you do it in a Nintendo Direct, though, where maybe a more casual Nintendo fan is just watching it to maybe sort of react to it on YouTube, or maybe just sort of to do content on it, but they don't necessarily care about Nintendo, now you're making a more lasting impact with this. I know it kind of goes against everything I just sort of said, but I do honestly feel that way. I feel like some announcements are better suited for a Nintendo Direct. Is it necessary for a Nintendo Direct? No, not at all. But if you're making something big like this is something that needs the biggest stage possible, because you want to get more eyes on your system. You know, a game like Advance Wars, a game like Mario Party Superstars, these games, I mean, really, they're for the core Nintendo Switch audience. These games are for Nintendo Switch fans and Nintendo fans in general. Whereas, if you're talking about Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, I think from a business perspective, you would want more people to see that in something like a Nintendo Direct, because you could potentially get people who grew up playing a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color who maybe moved on from Nintendo systems to once again be interested in your products. And I think that would be a big win for Nintendo. So at the end of the day, do we need a September Nintendo Direct? Do we really need to see one? You know, it's kind of tricky to say. You know, in my opinion, I'm always of the mindset of, as long as I get the information about the games, I don't care the way it's distributed. But I do know that a Nintendo Direct does hold some weight to it. Now, as September continues to go on, we're getting towards the end of the month here, and I just don't know if we're going to see one. I definitely expected it to be towards the beginning of this month, and I think a lot of people anticipated it being at the beginning of this month. From what I've seen, the latest Nintendo Direct that took place in the month of September happened on September 17th, and that was actually last year, and it was one of those partner showcase events, which was really good. That was the event that we, of course, saw Monster Hunter Rise get unveiled, and that was like, wow, you know, all I need is Monster Hunter Rise. I don't care what else is in this presentation. So as time goes on, it seems less and less likely that we're going to get a September Nintendo Direct, but I still think there is hope. I mean, you still have the rest of this week. It's only Tuesday the 21st. There's still time to do it, but you got to remember, Nintendo has to announce the Direct well before they showcase the Direct. So those are my thoughts on the current Nintendo Direct hoopla and hype situation. What do you guys think about it though? Do we need one for this month? Do you think it would just be nice to have, or do you think Nintendo might just do something, I don't know, in the month of October or something like that? Let me know in the comments down below. And if they do it in the month of October, that's gonna piss me off if they do it that first week, because that's the week when I'm doing a bunch of moving crap and As always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Sound off in the comments section down below. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like and share the video, turn on your notifications, all that fun YouTube crap. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.